Hello, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Booked. My name's Saffron, and I'm here with the amazing Evan J. Peterson. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. When I prep for people's interviews, sometimes people don't have a lot of stuff online, but you've got like a Wikipedia page and a very well-packed website, and you've got so much stuff going on. I was like, I don't even know what to choose. You're so prolific as a creative, and that made me so excited to talk
Thank
to
you.
you because I don't think we're going to run out of anything to talk about. But yeah, have you had a good day so far?
I have. Thank you.
Good. Good. We have a couple of people in the chat. We have Ellen Holmes, who is the organizer for the Small Spec Book Awards. So I'm really glad that she's made it today.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for the opportunity.
She's amazing. And we have Sarah Arnoux, who is out of the washing machine, although I think it was a dryer. And she's here today as well. Thank you so much.
In the States, we say out of the washing machine into the dryer. Things are just getting worse for you. Stay tuned.
I'm sure she'll love it anyway.
Hi, Sarah. It's good to see you.
So I really appreciate your time coming on the show today. This was sort of a celebration of you winning the 2025 Small Spec Book Awards. That was difficult for me to say in the fantasy category. Congratulations, that's really cool. And I know that Better Living Through Alchemy, which is the book that I'm talking about the win for, was always also a finalist for the Endeavour Award in 2024. So award-winning, award-nominated, smashing, awesome book.
Thank you so much.
Of course. As I said before we started recording, I'm going to try not to give anything away, but there is like a really pivotal part of the book that I finished on today that I haven't quite finished it yet, but I cannot wait for this to finish so I can finish reading it because it is so good. I am thoroughly enjoying it, and it's so not something I would normally read. So it's opened up my eyes to something different because I don't tend to lean towards fantasy stuff. So that I stop rambling, could you tell the audience a little bit about this book and what to expect from it?
Well, thank you, Saffron. All of that's very, very flattering. I'm chuffed. So this is a noir. It is a bit of a mystery. It's set in present day, but in a world that contains magic.
Mm-hmm.
The main character is a private detective with a psychic sense of smell, and she's hired by a mysterious businesswoman to find out everything she can about a new magical drug that's killing people on the streets of Seattle. Mm-hmm. And hilarity ensues.
It is very funny. It's very funny. There were so many moments where I burst out laughing because your characters are so sassy. Like they are very like they're all really big characters and they have such distinctive voices. And I feel like I know some of them. But their banter is just so funny to me. Like the dialogue is really enjoyable. We've also got Blake, who I think I interviewed yesterday. The days sort of blend into one. Hello. Thank you for joining us today. But yeah, I really can absolutely see why this won an award very recently. It's just such a good time. And I'm curious to know, having looked at some of your back catalogue, it doesn't surprise me that you've produced something like this. But where did this come from? Like, this is a really complex, layered story.
I mean, it came out of my brain. I had the idea for a short story,
mm-hmm.
And if the part you indicated earlier,
mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it is the part that I'm thinking of, mm-hmm. you have not made it to the big finale yet. Mm-hmm. So I had this image in my head of a private eye who is investigating some sort of drug cartel, and she stumbles into the factory where they make the drug. Mm-hmm. and discovers way more than reality would usually allow about where this drug comes from, how they harvest it, etc. Mm-hmm. And I had that, and I thought, okay, well, now I need to work from a beginning to that big finale and the aftermath. Mm-hmm. And so when my editor and publisher Scott Gable over at
Mhm.
my books, when he offered me a novel opportunity, I said, "Great, sure." And I thought, this story's probably gonna need to be longer than short story
Mhm.
length. So that's how it began.
Mhm.
And then I just magpie all kinds of wonderful things that I find in the world,
Mhm.
and sometimes not in the world, and put them all together.
That's cool. I love it when people create a story and they go, "This needs to be big," because it has to be. It deserves the time and the detail that you've clearly given this. But there's so much like occult stuff within this book, and it's something I'm so unfamiliar with. So I don't know what of it you've pulled out of your brain and what of it you've pulled from research. So did you have to do quite a lot of research for this, or how much of it is like fantasy from you?
A lot of the research was passive in the sense that I had already learned it,
Mm.
or I was in classes or groups that were studying these kinds of these kinds of ideas.
Mhm.
So a lot of, I mean, pretty much all the characters are made up whole cloth,
Mhm.
but a lot of the magic, I would say, two-thirds or more of the magic that happens in the book is based on practices among people,
Mhm.
particularly all the hoodoo and the folk magic.
Mhm.
Um, Book and key, which they use in the morgue, that's real. That,
Mm.
I believe, comes from Guyana,
Okay.
and probably other places as well. I remember being a teenager and my journalism teacher was telling us about Book and Key. She was from Guyana.
Mhm.
"Hello, Mrs. Liverpool.
Oh,
You're wonderful. Thanks for teaching me how to write." Um,
that's nice.
yeah, yep, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Goofer Dust and Hotfoot, all that's real.
Mhm.
Spine crabs are not real. I made those
Thank
up.
goodness, because they terrified me.
Good. Oh, I was hoping they would.
Oh, they made me feel really sick, but that's what I
Yeah.
want from a book. So did you was that a something from your imagination where you're like, "What's the most disgusting spine-related thing I can think of?" Where did
You
that
know,
come from?
well, I don't wanna give too much away,
Okay.
but, I think I must have been inspired by a character from Clive Barker's Abarat,
Mm.
and I forget the character's name, but I believe it's one of the monsters, and their different facial features scurry around and rearrange, but they're on spider legs,
Mhm.
so the eye will walk down here and things like that.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about bones and like, well, what if there's a monster that could literally release its vertebrae and each
Mm.
vertebrae became a mini monster?
Mhm.
So that's where spine crabs come from.
I just thought you were gonna say the depths of hell.
Well, I mean, in canon, that's where the character comes from.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
there are so many moments where I can hear how squishy things are. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's very visceral, and I actually didn't. I wasn't expecting that from this. I tend to try and go into books blind. I don't really want to know what to expect in the first place, but I was like, okay, well, it won a fantasy award and it's very popular. And so I just thought, okay, well, it's going to be, a nice sort of fantasy type thing. And then within the first chapter or so, I was like, oh, this is better than that. This is something
thank
that I
God.
would tend to read. And it's interesting that you say Clive Barker because I got some real Barkery vibes from the sort of hellscapey type stuff.
For sure.
Um, yeah, and it's so well written, and I can tell that you've been doing this a while, and that you experiment in lots of different types of sort of creative endeavors. Because you're a poet, you also perform, you also do nonfiction. I don't think I could name a thing that you haven't done. You have games, you have video games that you've created. It's just I can't decide what to ask you next.
That's okay. I'll be here for at least an hour.
Oh, good. I'm glad because it might take me. I'm starting to fangirl. I've noticed. I think that's what's happening.
Please
Um,
do. I don't have enough fangirls or
okay, well,
fanboys or
count me
fandays for that matter. Uh, yeah, I just have a busy mind,
in.
and whenever I think I had a almost pathological kind of ambition and work addiction
Mm,
for a lot of my adult life.
mhm,
I was always an extremely good student,
mm,
and when there was no more of that work to do, I went into teaching.
mhm,
And then there was a lot of reading of things that I wouldn't normally read.
mm.
Uh, but all of that to say that I've been doing this quite some time, and thank you for recognizing that. But I certainly did not create this body of work overnight.
No, I can tell. It would be virtually impossible. Um, but yeah, it's I couldn't identify by looking into your background and your history. It sounds creepy, but it's not supposed to be. I couldn't identify if there was a specific area that you most prefer to storytell because you tell stories through your poetry, you tell stories through uh, performative mediums. Um, do you have a preference, or does it totally depend on what you're trying to portray?
When people ask me, well, what do you write?
Mm,
My uh, very honest joke is that I write whatever people pay me to write.
mm,
And poetry doesn't pay, but that was a huge passion of mine in my 20s. Uh, and so I wrote a whole lot of work that was it was too weird for the mainstream academic poetry
mhm,
market, which is a tiny little market,
mhm,
at least in America.
mhm,
Uh, and then so too weird for them, not weird enough, I guess, for the more experimental markets.
mhm,
So yeah, my poetry never quite caught on, and that's fine.
mhm,
But at some point I thought, well, I would like to actually make money on my writing.
mhm,
So that's when I got in more and more into prose, and I was doing journalism for a while.
mhm,
That's where the nonfiction memoir comes from.
mhm,
And luckily, I've been able to get a nice little claw hold in speculative fiction now.
mhm,
And I this book won the fantasy category, and it is fantasy,
mhm,
but it's certainly urban contemporary fantasy bordering on
mhm.
horror.
Yes.
I just think of it as like weird with a capital W. And like China Mieville is weird, and
Mm.
Kelly Link is weird, and god damn it, so am I.
But we love weird here. That's my favorite. I
Well,
don't like not weird stuff because it doesn't interest me in any way.
right, exactly.
I need something that's going to make me go, "What the fuck?" Like that's my favorite type of book to read. That's my favorite type of story. My favorite type of TV to consume. If it's like pedestrian or, and I'm not saying like be weird for the sake of being weird because then it feels forced. But if it makes me uncomfortable or it makes me question actually my view on things, that's where I want to be, and especially fictionally. It did surprise me that this was a fantasy. I had to double check the category, if I'm being totally honest, before we came on. I was like, really, fantasy? But I can kind of see why it was categorized in that way because if you've got the sort of more closed off genre, um, then yeah, I guess that would probably be the better one to go in. But
And
I
and
wouldn't choose this as a fantasy book if I was going to pick it.
and I love being able to do that to my
Mhm,
readers. I want to take you to a really strange place and then
mhm,
leave you there. Uh,
mhm,
so I have not read all the books that were finalists
mhm.
for the fantasy category for SSBA,
Yeah.
but it seemed like there was some high fantasy among the finalists.
Mm,
So, I think that the category had several books in the finalist group that
mhm,
you would read and say, "Well, yeah, obviously that's fantasy."
mhm,
Uh, but, I was surprised that I wasn't in the horror category, but
mhm.
I guess it's too funny to be horror, and the correct people win and survive. So, like,
Yeah.
okay, sure.
Mm. Yeah, I get that. But it's interesting to know that there were some more sort of what would come to mind if you were to say fantasy book that yours was up against, and yet the people spoke and they said we want this weird book, which I really like.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm so grateful to every volunteer reader, every judge, every person who makes the SSBA happen. Thank you so much. Like, I'm so delighted to know that my super weird, queer, is it horror? Is it humor? I don't know. There's a detective book was your favorite.
mhm. It's an incredible feat to organize an award, especially when there were so many submissions. There were tons and tons and tons and tons of books. I found so many good books through it as well. So it's such a great idea to highlight these indie presses. And Broken Eye Books, is it Broken Eye Books? Yeah. Entered you into the fantasy category. So, you know, pick whichever
Right?
one fit. But you won, so whatever. Sarah makes a good point, and I'm kind of similar to Sarah. She says, I kind of wish we didn't have to market in genre so much. Some work doesn't have a defined genre, and that's great too. I had a guest on, Hannah R. Goodman, who described her work as genre fluid. And I'm like, yes, that's
Very
my
much.
fave. That's my fave.
I was a club kid for a while in my late teens and early 20s.
Mhm,
Not in New York,
mhm,
in Miami.
mhm,
And this is when I started to learn about the concept of gender fuck
mhm,
or gender punk,
mhm.
uh, to pass whatever profanity filters there are. Um, and so, that's a form of drag that is against passing.
Mm,
It is glamorous, but it also satirizes glamour.
mm.
Uh, and I was like, well, I want to do that now with genre. I want to be genre fuck.
I love that.
So I do.
I mean, you do it very well.
Thanks.
It's You are the kind of writer who I want to read more of your stuff. That doesn't always happen to me. But when I
It's a good
like
shot.
glob onto a writer who I really like, they have a voice that I really enjoy, then I'm like, I just want to keep reading stuff by you. And I'm not just saying that. And I know it sounds like I'm blowing smoke up your ass, but I don't have to be this nice.
No, and I can usually tell when someone is performing
Mm,
as opposed to being genuine.
I'm fairly genuine, unless people, anyway, I don't know why I'm going down that road. Sarah also defines her stuff as
Going down
genre
that road.
genre fuck as well. I'd actually agree. So maybe you guys should be friends because I think that'd be a good
I
idea.
think that's already developing.
I love that. I'm loving seeing this blossom over time in this short space of time. So in terms of your I'm going to call it marketing because that's the buzzword that writers can relate to.
Great.
You created a very, very interesting and fun book trailer for this book. I loved it. Why did you choose to do that?
I have loved book trailers for a long time.
Mhm,
And my first book, I wrote and collected my work in zines for a while before I
mhm,
could get anything professionally published. And then once I had books coming out with ISBNs on them,
mhm,
whether they were short poetry chapbooks or something else, I always wanted to make a book trailer.
mhm,
Um, partly to yeah, market it, sell it, hopefully catches on with the right people,
mhm,
but also just for the fun of that part of the project.
mhm,
If Better Living Through Alchemy, is a full body of work, it contains the trailer and the website and
mhm,
what I do if I read live. Um, and I try to make all of that into an artistic endeavor.
mhm,
And I also really love film. Uh, and this is my way to dabble in the film medium
mhm,
without having to get funding or equipment, etc. I just wrangle my friends
mhm.
and we make a thing.
That's such a nice thing to cherish as well, especially if you have people that you love involved in it, because then it's better than just like a random picture. You've got like an actual thing. It's
Yeah.
very cool. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, I love it. Shout out to my mainstay videographer, Evan Swope. Love you.
Oh, that's nice. So you mentioned your website being a part of this whole narrative that you have. I loved it because it's very much like there's some like LA sort of beauty product style trying to convince me to take this drug thing
Yes.
that I really enjoyed, and I think that works really well. And your website is such an experience as well. It's not just like here's some of my books. You're like dive in or if you dare sort of thing, and I
Yeah,
like that. Is it something you designed yourself, or is it
I
something
did.
else? You did.
I did.
What can't you do?
You know, I'm not sure.
Okay, let me
I
know if
love
you find anything.
I love when people say that to me. I mean, I enjoy being an autodidact. If there's something I want to know how to do
Mhm,
and something I want to be able to create, and I don't know how to create it,
mhm,
I try to teach myself. And I had a lot of janky web designs that I made over the years through like
mhm,
WordPress or even back when Blogspot was a thing.
mhm,
So I had a little bit of know-how as far as design, what works, what doesn't,
mhm,
both visually and code-wise.
mhm.
And so when I upgraded to Squarespace, this is not an advertisement for them,
Okay.
by the way. But when I upgraded to Squarespace, it was significantly easier to use than WordPress,
Mhm,
and everything just looked a lot slicker. And that's what
mhm,
I wanted. I wanted something really slick that looked like, we're some sort of bizarre, other dimensional uh, pyramid scheme selling you drugs that might work or they might kill you. Who knows?
They're a lovely colour, and I'm enticed. So,
Thank you.
thankfully, and there's no one around that will sell them to me, and it doesn't look like you can order them online. So they're gonna yet maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Merch is a level that I have not quite gotten to yet.
Mhm.
Um, and that's because I think it would eat up more of my creative time than I want to devote to making money. I would
Yeah,
rather just write the next book.
that's fair, but you do have a lot of ammunition to create like really obscure merchandise.
God, I hope so. There's that fake selenite gun that we 3D printed for the video.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think you're at the part of the book where that appears quite yet. And it's not a spoiler, it's not a pivotal
Mhm.
moment, but they pull out a Glock made of selenite, and they're like, "Okay, sure, great. Let's use this against some demons."
No, I've not gotten to that part yet, and now I'm excited. Excuse me. So, you mentioned before that you studied journalism. I can't remember when you said that had happened, but I noticed that you also had some non-fiction on your website. I haven't had the chance to read it yet, but do you enjoy that side of things? Do you like to interview people? Do you like to explore like real humans on this planet?
You know, I think I think what I really love is being an essayist.
Mm,
But, if I'm given, a contract to write a book about a sociological phenomenon, then I need to interview human beings and I
mhm,
need to do the research on that.
mhm.
Yeah.
Is it something that you enjoy?
Yes, I enjoy the essay part of it.
Mhm,
I enjoy writing confessional memoir.
mhm.
I do enjoy that. The rest of it is, just part of the process.
Is sharing autobiographical work scary? Is it something that
Yes.
is comfortable for you in any way? Because that was like when people do things like that, I can't think of a better phrase, but it's such a ballsy move to be like, here are my innermost thoughts, and I'm vulnerable, and now you can look at it. Like,
I mean, it's certainly emotionally challenging to do
mm,
that. I was raised in a family where, not to sound ominous, there was a lot of weird ass shit that happened in my childhood,
mhm,
but nothing that, no one abused me.
okay.
I'll say that. But there were a lot of secrets
Mm,
inside the family, and it was like, well, I'm telling you this, but do not tell your father that I told you this, or
mhm.
your cousin told me that you said this to our aunt. And I'm just like, I can't even keep up with that chain of gossip.
Yeah.
uh, and and also, I think for a long time I didn't know what to keep discreet and what to just talk about in
Mhm,
conversation. And so I guess as a psychological strong suit, I'm just very confessional now.
mm,
And I ask my closest loved ones, hey, tell me if something is not something I can share publicly.
mm,
And I won't, because I respect their privacy, but I don't have a lot of privacy that I reserve.
mm.
It's a way for me to, I guess, undercut and preempt people digging into my life.
Interesting. Is that something that you have done because you know that you're going to be doing these things that bring you into the public eye, or is that just something that you felt was a way of making yourself more comfortable in the world?
All of the above.
Mm.
As a well, my whole life, I was going to say as a teenager, but that would be inaccurate. My whole life, I've wanted to be, this, what I'm doing
Mm.
now. And I'm so glad I got here. But as a young man, I would watch documentaries on different celebrities and kind of study, what do celebrities do? What is the
Mm.
science of fame? And so I looked to people like Missy Elliott and Marilyn Manson, and people who were very creative and also had a huge public persona.
Mhm.
And then, once I got into David Bowie and Prince, I was like, okay, these are the people I was looking for
Oh,
the
good.
whole time. No shade to Missy, she's a goddess.
I panicked when you said Marilyn Manson, if I'm being honest.
What?
I panicked when you said Marilyn Manson, I'm going to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he in the '90s, he was
Mm.
still cool.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, when I was very young, he was absolutely a role model
For
that I
sure, yeah.
followed.
Mhm.
And, like, of course he abuses women. He built a career calling himself the Antichrist. Why
Yeah,
why is anyone shocked
should
that
have
this
seen
is a
it
man
coming.
who behaves inappropriately, you know? And that was before he had a bunch of money and fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's just another schmo in Hollywood. But yeah, Bowie, Prince, Missy,
Mhm.
Bjork, Janelle Monáe. Oh my gosh, Janelle Monáe's whole thing she does. These are the artists who everything they do fits together. What
Mm.
they look like on camera fits in with their the words that they spin, and it fits in with the stories that they tell, and it's all part of the bigger artistic
Mm.
thing. You know, David Bowie is the art project. David Jones was the man.
Mhm.
And the same thing with Janelle Monáe. Like, her entire body of work is the Janelle Monáe art piece
Mhm.
that is created by a human being. But yeah, so I aspire to that, to have that level of, like, oh, it's all part of the project.
How do you, if you do, draw a line between your art and you just chilling at home drinking a coffee or a tea or whatever? Or does it all just meld into one?
I mean, art is usually, I'm making it to present it
Mhm.
to a viewer, a
Yeah.
reader, etc. So if I'm just home drinking my coffee, with the dog and my husband, then,
Mhm.
these are not entities I perform for.
Mhm.
I don't have to hold myself to a certain standard. And I go through phases. Today
Mhm.
I really wanted to look good on the camera.
Mhm.
But, during the pandemic, I was like, I'm not even going to brush my hair. Let's just hit record and get this over with. Take another stab at it, try to put it out of its misery.
I feel that to my very core. So, is it ever a burden for you to have this? Perhaps that's the wrong word, but that's what I'm going with. To have this desire to create something to be celebrated, and do you ever like set yourself up with really, really high expectations that make it difficult for you? I feel like that was 10 questions, but I want to see what you got from that.
I do that every time, Saffron. Every time I have a book or a project
Uh-huh.
that's, going to see the light of day, and I'm
Mhm.
going to get, in this digital era, I'm going to get pretty much instantaneous
Mm.
responses to it, even if they're few.
Yeah.
Um, like of course that's very anxiety producing. I used to have depressive periods after every major book would
Mm.
come out, because there's so much excitement and anticipation leading
Yeah.
up to it, and usually it's very anticlimactic.
Mhm.
Um, and thank goodness for medication, because through a combination of like wisdom and maturity and
Mhm.
Zoloft, I don't get those bouts of depression after a book comes out anymore.
That's good, I'm glad, because
Yeah.
it's something to be enjoyed, but I totally get what you're saying, is sometimes the idea of the thing is, like, way more romantic than the thing actually happening, and the process of creating the thing is actually one of the most exciting parts because it's the possibilities are endless, especially in the world of, like, fiction. You can pretty much do whatever you like, and you don't even necessarily know what it's gonna look like until you've decided this thing is finished. Um, yeah, it's fascinating. There was a question from Ellen Holmes. I think she stepped away, but she's come back. And the question
So,
is, can you tell us anything about the sequel that you hinted at for Better Living Through Alchemy?
I can tell you anything you want. Do you want to hear
Oh,
the true stuff?
yes.
Okay. So right now it is more or less what's actually written down
Mhm.
is the sneak peek that I read on the same video as I
Mhm.
recorded Pighead Lady from the
Oh,
dryer.
okay. Mhm.
So, the second fiction piece that is from the sequel,
Mm.
when Kelly and Critter are in the bookstore. Um, so it does pick up pretty much as soon as Better Living Through Alchemy leaves off,
Mhm.
which is quite intentional.
Mhm.
I want people to ask for a sequel. I want them to want it.
Mhm.
Uh, not just for my ego, but also because I want people to like my work.
Mhm.
And what shows appreciation more than asking for more. Um, but yeah, it'll be about the it will be about the drag queen coven that gets a hold of a Necronomicon and decides to use it with very poor judgment. And I want to get Kelly and Critter out of Seattle this time. I
Mhm.
want to send them to a few places, all on Sophia Martinetti's payroll,
Mhm.
all on her dime. Send them to these different locations that have these strange artifacts and things, so that they can do their research and prepare to fight the coven.
My face hurts from grinning. That sounds fantastic. So how far through the process are you? Are you still drafting? Have you finished it?
Well, I think that one chapter is all that exists written down.
Mhm.
A lot of it's in my head,
Mhm.
a lot of it's in notes. Um, but, I know there are certain people and entities that are gonna play a role. I wanted to send Kelly and Critter to this bookstore, Poisonous Books,
Mhm.
during Better Living Through Alchemy, but it wasn't needed, and
Mhm.
I think it would have slowed things down.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I'll put it in the sequel." So we start there, and yeah, I know there's going to be another group of magic users, and they're mostly theorists, and they're the cult of correspondence. And the cult of correspondence believes that everything can be aligned.
Mhm.
So, every tarot card corresponds to a zodiac sign, a planet, an incense, etc., etc., etc.
Mhm.
Like everything corresponds to everything else in this very like uh Aleister Crowleyan dumb European way.
Mhm.
No offense.
That's fine. I live in Texas, so I can't really talk.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Well,
was
and
a choice.
yeah, I mean, ch 5-element alchemy and
Mhm.
traditional Chinese medicine also has that sense of, "Oh, everything corresponds to everything
Mhm.
else." So, it's not just a contemporary, Western thing.
Mhm.
But I just think it's so silly when people have these very rigid rules like, "No, that's not a water herb, that is a fire herb. You can't use it in a water spell." And like, "Great, have fun with that."
Did you have to do much research? I know I asked you a research question earlier, but did you have to do much to um, make sure that what you were sharing about certain beliefs were correct, or was it more like because everything's kind of mixed together throughout the whole book?
Mhm.
It's not like there's one belief system and then that's what we believe in this book. It was like here's a bit of this, here's a bit of that. Um, was that all from memory, or was there something that you had to back up a little bit there?
No, I definitely had to fact check,
Okay.
you know, um, because a lot of the folk magic practices
Mhm.
are not culturally my own.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be very responsible with that. I want to earn the reader's trust by presenting these things
Mhm.
accurately and in the context
Mhm.
that they're meant to be from their origin culture. I don't want to just cherry pick and, have dream catchers hanging around for no reason. Uh, which why do we love dream catchers?
I don't
Like,
know. My grandma really likes them.
a friend of mine who is a pretty powerful urban shaman,
Mhm.
uh, used to point out why do people put dream catchers on their rear view mirror? Are you going to sleep in your car? If you do,
They might.
fine. Some people do need to sleep in their car, but most people who have a dream catcher hanging from the rear view are not sleeping in their car. It's
Yeah.
yeah. They cannot name what culture that originates from.
Mhm.
They don't know what spirits are connected to it.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. Mhm.
And one thing that ended up being very convenient was when I started looking into fake lore,
Yes. Mhm.
because if you acknowledge that this is not actually
Mhm.
what this culture did or believed,
Yeah.
this is something that someone else made up and attributed to them.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, that's like my get out of white free card. That's great.
Like, right? It's a fantastic tool to be able to shoehorn random stuff in there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. There was a scene with a Wendigo,
Mhm.
and I really took pains to point out, you know, this thing that a
Mm.
person transformed into really has nothing to do with Indigenous American
Mhm.
Wendigo legends,
Mhm.
folklore, it all of this has been piecemealed from pop culture that colonized,
Mhm.
uh, indigenous American everything.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I was trying to be very, very careful with that.
Mhm.
And Scott, my publisher, said, I I don't think we can be too careful with that. And he really convinced me to cut it from the book.
Mm.
So that is an instance of something I was trying very hard to couch in the context of like,
Mm.
no, this is something that has been completely bastardized by mainstream pop culture. But even to acknowledge that wasn't enough to
Mm.
undo a lot of the harm that's been done around that particular piece of folklore.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, fine. Now, that the Wendigo is replaced by Eoster.
Mhm. Yeah, I can't imagine whenever I write anything, and it's usually just for me, I'm still like hyper conscientious of things. And I am oftentimes scared to include things that aren't from my culture because I never want to upset anybody. That's like my one of my fears in life is upsetting people. I don't like the idea. I want people to have a nice time, which is unrealistic, but it's just a goal of mine.
How British of you.
Yeah. Um, but it really, really turns me off to even try, which is really silly because I'm not able to then comfortably expose myself to other cultures. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do because my intentions are always really pure, but you never know how a complete stranger is going to take whatever you've done. So, yeah, I think and Ellen Holmes has agreed, like the fake law option was actually fantastic because it gives you the opportunity to be a little bit like wacky, whimsical, and fill some gaps in there without having to like put too much pressure on yourself to get it right.
And that whole part of the story
Mm.
really started with Tikita de Mambre.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing is, like, I read about Tikita de Mambre, which I'm probably mispronouncing. It is not just French, but Creole French.
Mhm.
Um, and so I read about her and I thought, oh, I love this goddess.
Mhm.
And so I started asking around with friends who do who are religiously
Mhm.
Vodun or Yoruban.
Mhm.
They're like, she's not real. That's not a real goddess. That's not a real spirit. I've
Mhm.
never heard of her. And in the research that I conducted, I found that there is literally a loop of definition.
Hmm.
It's like one source cites a different one, which cites a different one, and then it ends up back at the first one I was looking at.
How
And
weird.
this includes, I think, Wikipedia,
Mm.
who, uh, in respect to them, do a lot of work to make knowledge public and to fact check it before
Mhm.
it goes live.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, Tikita de Mambra isn't real. And from there it was a pretty good easy hop, skip, and jump to like Ixtab.
Mhm.
And then I was like, well, what about some of these nerds who think that Lovecraft was actually a prophet and all of his entities are real and they correspond to different parts of the Kabbalah tree of life, or the evil version, which is the Klapoth. Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, Cthulhu's right there, and Shub-Niggurath is right over there. And I was like, oh, we're taking that, we're putting that in the book.
It must have felt like finding a gold mine.
Always does.
Yeah. I love
Nothing is more inspiring to me than human folly.
I yes. I It always amazes me how creative and imaginative humans can be. Which is why I always lean towards human-made art because that's far more interesting to me because I love being taken aback by somebody's imagination and going, "Where on earth did that come from?"
Right.
Uh, yeah.
And the time put in to rendering a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, to come back to a main point
Mm-hmm.
that we were making, I just really want to respect other people, especially if they've been marginalized,
Mm-hmm.
and not steal things from their culture and
Mm-hmm.
pretend that I came up with them.
Yeah. Yeah. That it's something that I think is improving as time goes on, and people being able to recognize that as a part of the deal. You know, if you want to use these really cool things from other cultures, it's only respectful if you consider the source and where it came from. And it's very similar. It's not the same. I'm not belittling it anyway, but it's very similar to like taking an excerpt from somebody else's work and putting it into yours. Is that it's only respectful if you actually cite the source and you do it with, good intentions.
And you use it in context.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's not just for the sake of like exciting people because your imagination couldn't come up with that thing. You found it, and that thing's cool, so we just stick that in there. Yeah, but it's something that I'm really glad to see increasing in popularity in terms of like having sensitivity readers. And there was an author who, I don't think their interview ever made it for various reasons, but they wrote a book that contained a Native American character, and they had a couple of people read it and say, well, you're a white dude from the middle of England and you've not done anything to make this like respectful or to check to see if anybody's like confirmed that these things are true, or if you've just used them as a gimmicky character. Because and that really scared them. And instead of like running with it and going, okay, well, I need to find somebody that's going to help me make this like true and honest and respectful, it just frightened them and they didn't want to go near it. And it made me feel really sad, because it's like you can do the thing, but you just have to be really mindful about how you present it and how you go through with it. So, yeah.
I mean, I learned a lot from people like Nisi Shawl, who co-wrote Writing the Other.
Mm-hmm.
How to strike a balance, and this is not difficult to do, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Striking the balance between what is familiar to you, the writer, in this character's life and personality, what's familiar and what is exotic to you, but have that balance, that so that people aren't like aliens.
Yeah. It requires for people to be self-aware, firstly, and it also requires some critical thinking that I don't think everybody has. So to expect everybody to be able to do that right off the bat is like impossible. And I've seen that in many other aspects of the world and how it's structured and how people navigate the world. But I'm hoping that by talking about it, it introduces people to the concept of, writing respectfully, and explore, because we need to explore each other's cultures. That's the thing that's really important, is that if we all stuck to our own thing, how fucking boring is that? That's so boring. Yeah. It's so boring. I miss being somewhere. So I've moved from England to Texas, which is fine. But it is not as I'm not exposed to enough. I'm not exposed to enough. I think it's the best way that I can put it, for the world to be exciting and colorful and interesting to me, because I'm not hearing enough different sides of stories. I'm not hearing about other people's experiences, which is why stuff like this is so exciting and fun to me, because I get to connect with people across the world and learn about them and their backgrounds and what do they love and how were they brought up. And I think we all need to have a bit more of that in our lives, and I do really miss that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Texas is really big. I've only been to Austin, but it sounds like the area you live in is very much a monoculture.
It feels it. It certainly feels it, yeah. Even down to, and this is like so stupid, so please forgive me, even down to the restaurants. Like, there's not enough there's not enough flavor around here. All I can find is like fried stuff. I found one Indian restaurant, but I'm so used to there being one like on every street where I'm from.
Well, and food unites people. Every
Mm.
culture has food lore,
Mhm.
recipes, ceremony, ritual around food.
Mhm.
So if you're not seeing food available from different cultural traditions, like
Mhm.
that tells me a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, because I like when I think about like, oh, where can I go to eat? I'm like, it's all the same. There's nothing exciting. Anyway, that's such a weird tangent to go down, but I just really want a curry. I just need a good curry. I haven't had one in so long.
Goodness. Wonder if I could airmail that to you.
It'd probably be
And
cheaper if
for
I just
me, I'm
drove somewhere.
lucky. What?
It'd probably be cheaper if I just drove somewhere else. Anyway.
I I feel lucky to live in Seattle because there
Mhm.
are so many different kinds of people.
Mhm.
Um, and, certainly there are some things that are, like, very bandwagon,
Mhm.
like, "Oh, to get by in Seattle, you shouldn't say that you like ice," uh, things like that.
Mhm.
But there are so many different immigrant cultures here,
Mhm.
and that's why I wanted to have a diverse cast in my book because
Mhm.
that's the Seattle I'm used to.
Mhm.
If people wonder, like, why did I make Detective Aweke? Why
Mhm.
is he Somali
Mhm.
American? And it's because there's Somali Americans everywhere in
Mhm.
Seattle. Like, it's like their restaurants are everywhere,
Mhm.
Somali, Ethiopian, and
Yeah.
Eritrean,
Mhm.
which are different cultures with nuances I personally can't define
Mhm.
yet. Uh, so there's a bit of that, but um, yeah, like of course there are Somali people in the book because they're all over the place in
Mhm.
Seattle.
Mhm. I mean, even if you're stretching out into the fantastical, you're still going to draw inspiration from where you live and where you've
Absolutely.
experienced, and that's kind of ultimately where we feel comfortable, is sort of even having those small elements of our own lives within our fiction. So, yeah, it totally makes sense. But again, the way that you have written it and the way that you present this information throughout the book, it doesn't feel like caricatures of people. It doesn't feel like you've like tried to shoehorn in things just to be different and weird or whatever. This feels like a very authentic Evan J. Peterson story. So you can always tell, I think, when people have like, I don't know, they're like, oh, I better put somebody with a disability in my book, otherwise it won't sell. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you could tell when that has happened. But yeah, Sarah also gets the need for a curry. I'm glad that's catching on. And also, yes, I totally agree. Having all white characters in a book doesn't reflect the real world.
No.
And if it did reflect the real world, that'd be so miserable.
Yeah.
That'd be so miserable.
Even when I play D&D, I'm I'm just like, well, we're not hanging out in medieval Europe. And medieval Europe wasn't even a monoculture. Like, they had trade. They knew where Africa and China were.
Mm.
Like, this idea of like Lord of the Rings being entirely white. Like, no, Europe was not like that. Possibly ever.
Mhm. Yeah.
The Romans had plenty of contact with Africa.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, it's a thing.
That's why education is so important, why access to books is so important.
Yes, but thank you for recognizing the genuine and the authenticity in my work. I try not to have rehearsed eccentricity.
Mhm.
Took me a long time as a human being to learn that I didn't need to try to be eccentric. I just wake up eccentric, and I should just go with my instincts because most people are going to go, when I do that.
Well, I'm glad that you've been able to be comfortable with who you are as a person, because that is a richness that not everybody gets to experience. There was something that Ellen Holmes did ask I'm trying to find it because it's related to something specific. Hang on. I've been
Ask
ignoring
again,
that a
Ellen.
little bit. What, sorry?
I said, ask again, Ellen.
Yeah, I'm sure there was something to do with. Hang on. Oh, okay. So you have created some games, some
Yes.
video games. Are they all interactive novels?
No.
Okay.
Dragstar is an interactive novel
Mhm,
that is available from Choice of Games.
mhm,
Um, the Arkham Horror
mhm.
game is point and click.
Okay.
So definitely interactive,
Mhm.
definitely not a novel.
Okay.
But that was a blast to work on because we got to develop the literal voice
Mhm,
of a new character in the Arkham Horror line, which
mhm.
is Stella Clark. And I enjoyed inhabiting Stella Clark very much.
Very cool.
But the next game is going to be interactive, is going to be an interactive novel. The
Mhm.
next one should be out this year. I am
Cool.
blazing through the final chapter
Mhm,
to get it into my editor on the 1st of February.
mhm.
But it's called Posthuman, and it's a lot like Dragstar, but with superheroes instead of drag performers.
Excellent.
Yeah, but any queer comics fan probably knows that there's a very, very slim line between superhero and drag queen.
Even in real life.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, Captain America is in like his best patriot drag. It, he may not be in femme drag, but he's definitely doing butch drag and patriot drag. You know, like
and he's gone all out.
yeah, like the difference between him and the Q shaman is that he's fictional and also knows like has a team of people writing his words for him
Mhm.
and testing them on audiences first.
So the question that Ellen Holmes had around
Yes.
this was, do you think that creating RPGs helps with writing books and vice versa?
Oh, absolutely. It's all writing.
Mhm,
And I very much believe in working in multiple media. Uh,
mm,
before I started writing in different genres and writing in different media, as a kid, I would sculpt and I
oh,
would
wow.
illustrate, and that definitely shapes how I write.
Hmm,
My love of texture and things that are tactile,
mm,
uh, and then the ability to use vivid color in print. It's just print on a page or a
mm,
screen, but how do I create that starkness of color in the imagination of the reader?
mm,
um, yeah, and of course, like in performance, like performance absolutely has influenced the way I write.
mm,
Like those punchlines in the book are timed very specifically.
mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, I find that people are able to be also more like openly creative as a person when they experiment with different means, because then you're finding different skills that you have, and it also helps to exercise the world creation that you have, because you have to think outside the box. Or how is this going to translate to this? And let's not pretend like we don't all imagine and wish that our books are going to become movies or TV shows. And even just imagining those things and how they're going to translate to a screen, for example, will
Mhm.
absolutely help you to shape your storytelling, and like how much detail do you want to give, and what kind of feeling do you want to give the reader or the consumer of whatever media you've got. There are two questions that I usually ask every guest before the end of each show, so if you do have a question for Evan, please do put it in the chat. um, what is your idea of success?
Being happy.
Oh,
Yeah, being happy with myself and my life, that to me is success.
I like that. That's nice. I'm waiting for the day that somebody says selling 1 million copies of my book. Nobody said that yet.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I've been around. I've had my share of experience, and like when I was in 12 step, another person in my group was like, it's like, Evan, being a successful author did not stop people like Hemingway or Jack Kerouac or Truman Capote from killing themselves. So it was like, oh, okay, that really drives the point home.
Interesting. Well, do you find that you have found success in your work?
Yes. I'm very proud of what I've done. I love doing things like this. I love talking to people who've read the work, and and vice versa, being a fan and picking someone else's brain about the work that they've created. So yeah, I feel great about it.
I'm really pleased to hear that. You should be super proud of yourself.
And I'm not done. I'm just getting started.
You better not be done. You can't do that to me. You can't come into my life like that and stop.
Yeah, I have plenty of weird bullshit to throw into the eye.
I'm so pleased to hear it. And Sarah just wanted to give you a compliment. This is just the show of compliments, in case you hadn't noticed. This is from Sarah. I just want to say that, Evan, you're really cool, and I hope we can be friends. Also, you have a very soothing voice. You do have a very soothing voice.
Sarah.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
So the final question that I ask is, if you were going to go back to little Evan, where you first started to put pen to paper, or whatever medium you chose to start writing, what advice would you give?
Don't stop for anybody. Just know that you've got great stories to tell. Keep reading, keep writing, keep learning. The rest will fall into place.
Oh, what a lovely way to end the show. And Ellen Holmes just forwards on her additional congratulations on the SSBA win. I forgot to put it up on the screen earlier, but if you do want to check out Evan's website, I will be putting the links to your website on the description of the episode, so you should see it in the description if you're watching the replay. If you are watching this on another screen, you can go ahead and scan the QR code that's on there. I'm sorry I didn't put that up earlier. I was just entranced by you, so I just forgot.
What a great compliment.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been lovely meeting you. You're such a pleasure to talk to, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Yeah, I'm going to awkwardly wave goodbye, but stay here, and I'll see you on the other side.
Okay, and you know what? Play Post-Human when it comes out, and then have me on again.
That's such a good idea. Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
We'll set a date. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Love you all.